Give it to me.
I'm so open. I met Evan Lepler last night. You have no idea how open I am right now.
How open was Evan Lepler?
He was so open, like just got off the bat, like super nice guy. He walked out of the press box and he had a smile on his face. I was like, huge fan, love to take a picture. He was like, of course. And then just continued to talk Frisbee for like 5-10 minutes and just was, yeah, I'm a huge fan of Evan Lepler after that. Was before, even more now. Glad to have him on the AUDL broadcast. Great guy, Evan Lepler.
Can you give us the quote he said about Ringer the AUDL?
So I asked him when I first saw him, I was like, do you know who Ringer the AUDL is? And he's like, I do. And I'm part of that group. And he's like, oh yeah, you guys make some interesting content. But I think I was like, is it good content? He's like, it's weird, but definitely a net positive. So he seems like he's a fan of us.
Let's go.
Maybe not want to interact with us that much online, but definitely a fan.
But in our bio on Twitter, just like net positive.
Anything else we need to cover before we get to our special guest?
I think there's one thing we need to discuss, and I think the whole AUDL community is kind of on edge about this. The game of the week either needs to be live or streamed on AUDL. Last night I was at the Colorado game and you guys were trying to watch it while it was going on and you just couldn't. You had to wait 2 hours or whatever it was for the game to be posted on Fox Sports 1, and you just can't have that, especially the game of the week. So I don't know how we fix that. Maybe we get it on ESPN. That's probably the best solution.
They should just make the worst game the game of the week so that like it doesn't bother anyone.
Yeah, because if you're an AUDL fan, you have AUDL.TV. So taking it off of AUDL.TV is an interesting move.
I do feel like us telling the AUDL to get rid of their sponsorship deal with Fox Sports 1, maybe it won't make them happy with us, but I mean, do it. Go somewhere else that'll play the game of the week live so I can watch it, please. I feel like they should let us do like a Manning type situation and let us commentate the game of the week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just let us rip. Give us the stream. We'll
definitely
talk over it. I would love to do that.
Well, it's worth noting that me and Ryan are gonna hold it down at the Summit game this weekend. Try to get some live coverage going.
You guys should just make remember like when we volunteered at the commencement ceremony our sophomore year and they gave us those little passes. You guys should just wear something like that. Just try to walk into the press box. Even if you could just like get on the field for like a interview or something post game.
So after the game, the field's open. So basically what goes on is the game ends and then everyone goes on the field and you just interact with players. So like post game, we'll just go up to players, we'll talk to people. It'll be a good time. We'll get some live.
I'm gonna jersey swap with Nethercut. It's happening.
Yeah. Welcome.
Hello.
Just a bunch of idiots. Hello.
Welcome.
Yeah,
So
pretty much.
5 of us.
One of us.
No, God, no. You're good, Starbucks. Number one sponsor.
We were reading your resume, and you're definitely maybe a cut above. You're a little overqualified for this podcast. I think it goes without saying.
No, I'm just an idiot.
Welcome to the podcast. Thanks for coming on. God knows why, but you're here anyway. So,
could we get a little "I'm open" first from you?
About what? About how stupid you guys are?
No, just "I'm open" from you for the pod, for the fans.
I'm open.
There you go.
Yes,
amazing.
The fans love it.
So
the fans
good.
love it.
The things that I do for fans, it's just a little too much these days. But here I am.
You can never give them enough. You can never give.
What are you drinking there?
Drinking a Czech Pilsner. It's called the Pilsner Urquell.
Ooh, I love that. I love that one. That's my
go-to.
go-to.
You have no idea what this beer is.
Yo, I love that. Look,
as long as they have it at Costco, he knows what it is.
I don't need a PhD to know the Pilsner Urquell. All right.
Urquell.
I can read some things.
Debatable.
Yeah. So we had Jordan Kerr on, was it earlier this week or last week?
Yeah.
Last week.
And he pointed out that we never do intros. And when
That's
they all
great.
listened to it, they were like, who are these people? So maybe we could go around. I can start. I'm Andrew, and I'm open. Anyone else want to go around?
Yeah, I'm Joe, and I'm also open.
I'm Sam, and I would say I'm open as well.
Yeah, I'm Ryan, and usually in the dump space, I get open specifically.
Sometimes in some cuts I get open. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Should I do my thing again? I'm Pawel, and I'm also open. I'm
Nice.
always
yeah.
open.
So open.
I'm
Always
open.
open.
Always open.
Chances
All
are.
right. I have a softball question for you, just to kick things off. Would you say that you're the best player in the AUDL?
No, absolutely not. I would never say that. That's pretty pretentious. Only guys from New York would say that, probably.
Oh, so you got some.
Do you have a best player in the AUDL, or you think there's too many names?
I think it all depends. I think Jordan Kerr is up there, just with all the numbers he's putting up, and how like splashy Utah is. So like what is value? How do you define value? And like there's like on-field product, but also off-field stuff, and like how you advertise yourself, and like how you like kind of like promote your team. And I think Jordan does a really good job of doing all the above. So he would be the most valuable.
Yeah, agree with that.
None of the New York guys like do anything. Like Jack tries to do stuff, and Jack's actually really good, and he does stuff. But like I think Jordan's at a different level. So
Of that.
Would you consider yourself one of the best players in the country?
certainly, absolutely.
Gotcha.
Would you consider I was gonna say, would you consider yourself one of the best?
Oh, he's gone.
You froze.
And he's no longer open. He's closed.
That's a great
You
question.
froze.
Oh, my internet is not open. I will tell you that. But yes, we were doing some digging, and we came across your resume. And just to go off of that last question, do you think you're just one of the more exceptional people in general?
Absolutely not. So yes, this is my website. This is my academic website.
Yeah,
There's
we're
a
gonna
personal
start.
section.
We're gonna start here.
We're all very
me?
impressed.
Are you cool if we go right into the CV here?
Yeah, it's going to download a file, and it's going to be pretty empty at this point because it's pretty young. But yeah, here we go. That's my CV.
Beautiful.
It's a lot more full than my resume.
Well formatted.
Yeah, loving the format.
I've
There's
got
also a
one of
second
those
page.
degrees,
There's a second page.
and you've got 4.
There we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, I saw that are you starting a job in California like next school year?
Actually in July. So I'm going to be remote for like in July, and then I'm going to actually move to Pasadena in August.
Oh wow. Okay. Are you gonna play Aviators next year?
Dude, I have no idea what I'm doing in 2023. I can barely tell you what I'm doing tomorrow and the day after that. You're talking about months. Months is just like
The Aviators have a lot of young talent, specifically Rookie of the Year favorite Ever Shapiro. So if you go there, you've got some receivers.
I feel like I know more about the Aviators and general all other teams than any of you. So this is going to be a great discussion. I know all about the Aviators. I've been scouting them in San Diego as well, pretty heavily. So can't wait to discuss all these things.
I wouldn't argue with that. So moving on to your research section here.
Not much there yet, but yeah.
I was reading through this, and it was all pretty much completely over my head, but it looks very impressive. So I wanted to.
This is yeah. I mean, so the way you have to write it, it's like meant for like an academic audience. So like there's a way you write an abstract, and a way you like present this stuff that it's not really accessible. It's not as accessible as it could be, but like the topics are just so like accessible. I feel like it's like the first paper is like what happens when cities run out of money. The second paper is what happens when school districts run out of money. Like the third paper is like what are tax rates. It's like it's very very basic stuff. It's like if you know what governments do, then you should be like, oh okay, I know that word. Like I know what this topic is about. I know that cities collect money.
Thank you for putting it in terms that we can understand. That is
Good job.
And then
before we get into Frisbee, just here's the data section. I will say we have we have 2 master's degrees on our podcast, right? We have Alu and Joe, and Joe's is in data something analytics.
Applied data analytics.
There you go. So Joe's smart too.
It looks like data to me.
This is all just data. Yeah. So the reason why I have this up here, so my field, just to kind of like explain why this is even on my website. So my field of like economic history, a lot of this data comes from like publicly funded sources. So I got like grants to like digitize and like get this data into like an Excel or like this data format. So like the kind of like what you have to do once you actually have this data is to make it publicly available, because like the public kind of funded it. You can't just like keep it for yourself. So that's like the standard. So that's why like I have to kind of put this stuff up here so other people can use it, because like other people paid for it. Paid for me to hire an RA or to hire someone in India to input the stuff and check the stuff that actually makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cool.
Let's go to personal. Let's go to personal, man. Look at this.
Let's do it.
Yeah, man. Let's do that. Look at this guy, Bo Kittredge. Nah, that's the best player in pod history. Me and some guy called Bo Kittredge. Yeah.
Oh man. So this is a very impressive resume here. I remember watching the 2019 final.
I tried to forget it, but yeah, good for you.
And then I was not well versed enough in Frisbee in 2014 to watch this final, but belated congrats on that.
Thank you. I really carried Jimmy's ass to that one. So that's good.
All right. Well, let's see. I guess we've gone through your background. So anyone else got any questions before we get into the real deal, the tier talk?
It's all out there. Yeah, let's do it.
We'll just get right into it.
So is this a family-friendly podcast / show, or can I curse in here?
No, you can curse at us.
Okay, I'll try not to at you. I'm gonna curse at other teams.
We don't have any rules.
So our typical procedure is like go game by game and see if teams move. But since you're on, is there any blatant just like misses that we have that you just disagree with that you want to talk about?
Yes, I have a lot. So what is an S tier? I've never heard of an S tier. I've never done tiers, but why isn't it just A, B, C, D, E, F or something?
I believe the origins of the tier list is like Super Smash Bros. Characters. So I don't actually know what the S comes from, but yeah, it's like
just like superior.
Yeah, I think it's like superior, supreme or something. It definitely started with like video games, or at least in like mass tier lists in pop culture. It started with video games.
Got it.
So we're just going along with it.
Yeah, we just think we're cool.
The very first mistake here is with all due respect, but fuck the Empire. Like they don't deserve their own tier. Like no. So there's an A tier or whatever, an S tier, and the S tier are 2 teams. The S tier is the Empire and the Summit. There's nothing else above them. That's what the tier is.
Okay,
so you think the Summit and the Empire are on the same level?
Definitely, yes.
Okay. I'm a big Summit fan, so I'll take that.
Who do you think is the better team right now?
I think the Empire are a better team, but I have DC beating the Empire in playoffs.
Ooh, I love that.
Right. Very spicy.
All right, I'm just gonna.
Are we just gonna do it just because you came on the pod? Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
he knows better than us. That's why he's here. We don't know.
That is true.
No, I do want to chime in and say that I've been a proponent of the smaller S tier. And no offense, but I do think that the Union kind of belong in A. I don't know.
I don't. Yeah. Well, this is no. So let's go to A. So A is not the Union.
Yeah.
The A tier is. Hold on. The A tier is Raleigh. So let's move Raleigh. Or sorry, Carolina. Whatever. Carolina is in.
We're just changing it all up. Sounds good.
Let's do it. Let's actually make it right, because before, your first episode was so bad I couldn't even watch half of it because you guys had no idea.
That's because I wasn't there.
But did you watch?
I did. At one point you said, Madison's like A, or the Indianapolis Adcats are like the A tier. They're 2-1. They look pretty good. They have, Madison has KPS. Oh yeah, I've heard of him. Yeah, KPS. It's like, fuck these guys. All right.
I knew that would piss people off. I didn't know it would piss off the
the players.
Third assist leader of all time in the AUDL.
Triggered big time triggered.
People really did
man.
not like our Alley Cats takes.
No, not at all. But wait, so for the A tier, it's just Carolina and it's just Salt Lake. That's the A tier. It's a two team tier. And now we go to
So
B
you don't
tier.
even have DC or you guys in there.
No, definitely not.
Okay.
B
So
tier,
basically ship
Wow.
all this C into D and B into C for now, I think. And then we'll reorder it later.
Yeah, we'll get there.
And we are cleaning house. I love this. This is long overdue.
Yeah.
We have to
we
start
needed
from
an
something
expert.
good.
All
right.
right.
What are we looking at for B?
okay, B tier is us, Atlanta, Minnesota, and the Breeze, and take away the Growlers from the B tier.
What about Austin?
Nope, Austin is C tier.
Okay.
Okay. I do want to ask. I mean, you guys are sitting. I mean, I thought I was like maybe overstepping by suggesting that you guys were an A, and you're like, no, we're B. What makes you say that you're B, even though your team is undefeated right now?
I mean, we barely scratched out the last 3 wins. I mean, it's not like we're a dominant team. I think we're a very beatable team at the moment, so we can't really be A or S.
Okay.
We're not really smashing away opponents, just winning by 1 or 2.
Honesty.
Do
Okay.
you think there's something to be said though about like having the ability to just kind of come back? Like I know you guys were down against Austin, rattled off some breaks. The Alley Cats I think maybe gave you guys a little bit of a scare, but I mean you guys clawed that out and you guys like really put your foot down and showed that you were the better team there. I mean, I was impressed by those wins.
I don't know. So I still have some thoughts about last night. So I think Indy deserved to win that game last night. I don't think we were the better team last night. I think we just got lucky. Indy has a habit of blowing away games. Like they blew one against Madison, and they did in the same fashion they blew one against us. Like if Indy has Travis Carpenter back, from he's out with an ACL injury. Like if they had Travis, like they're sitting at like 6-1 right now. 6-1 because they're 4-3, and they would beat us, and they would have beaten Madison. So I think Indy is a very good team. They just have a very bad habit of not executing in the last 6 minutes of the fourth quarter.
Something we talk about with Indy is their inside stadium. I'd love to hear from someone who's actually played in that stadium what it's like.
It's very hard to throw flat throws in that stadium because it's like whenever there's humidity, it's just like still air. There's no wind whatsoever. So just the humidity just stays there, and everything just floats and just stays in the air, which is kind of, I think, counterintuitive. You think of like, I think indoor stadiums is like, these places where you can throw very far and like it's very quick. I think it's the opposite. It's very slow, and you really have to put edge on your throws. And Indy does that. All the Indy Hucks, all their scores are just like blades. Like Keegan North just gets an under and he just flick blades to the corner of the end zone. And they know how to do that very well. And no team that plays outdoors knows how to do that, because that is an automatic turnover if you put any sort of edge on a 50-yard flick like that. So it's very hard.
When we had Jordan on the pod and we were talking about Union or Alley Cats, and he was like, give me Pawel inside any day. So it seems like you know how to do that. No?
No, absolutely not. That's not my game at all. That's like all the guys on Indy know how to do that very well. So like again, Keegan and like Levi Jacobs and like Rick Rose, all those guys have grown up playing indoor in that stadium, and they know exactly the edge that you have to put so that the defense does not get a play on the disc. And like last night, we were just throwing up trust throws, and we didn't come down with many of them because we're just putting nice flat throws out to space that just kind of hung. And they just have some big boys, just big young boys that get these. And they were definitely the better team last night. So yeah, Go Indy. I mean, I think Indy's really good. I'll be surprised if they don't take the 3rd seed in our division.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I want to ask about, speaking of your division, it seems like a lot of people on Twitter think that the Wind Chill are better than the Union, even though the Union won that week 1 matchup. Where do you stand on that?
I think we'll find out in 5 days or whatever. Yeah, 5 days on Friday night. We'll find out who's the 3rd team. So they've played some cupcakes, right? They've had Detroit twice, I think, and Pitt twice. Or they just played Madison. They just blew out Madison last night, and we've had some tougher games. So it's two different paths to get to, 2 pretty good records at this point.
Yeah, I will say that I think leaving Minnesota where they're at right now is pretty important because it spells bum currently. And I just think we should keep it that way.
Yeah. Bum.
Any objections or?
If anyone
No.
objects, they can leave the pod. All right, so we've got S, A, and B set, I think, and
Yes.
then let's get into C.
Yes, let's do it. San Diego definitely belongs. Like I think if San Diego had a better showing this weekend, they would have been B, but they lost both games by 5 and 6 or something. So
Yeah, 5 and 6.
they can't really belong in B.
I lost both my bet covers by half a point on both games.
Should have bet better.
It's tough. It's tough.
Should have bet like Jordan and I.
Yeah, you and Jordan killed it.
No,
It's almost
he's
like
only
that guy
beating me on
plays
he's only
frisbee.
beating me on technicalities too.
Smart, athletic, can play frisbee. What can't he do? Jordan Kerr for president.
And he's a
44.
super fun, nice guy. Like loved having him on the pod.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he's also yeah. Can't wait for him to be my teammate. So that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. Do you want to maybe go into that? What's the Chicago Machine roster looking like? What are you looking forward to the club season?
Winning nationals. I think we have a stacked roster. I think it was always we need to merge all the Midwest talent. So like, okay, let's merge with High Five, and then we picked up Joe White and Keegan North and Paul Arders. And then it's like, okay, we need one more merger. So it's like, who could we merge with? And it's like, let's merge with Double Y. So then we picked up Abe and Ben and Dalton. So we were always one merger away, and I think this is the merger that's going to push us over the top.
Nice. Do you see what opponents do you see as like the biggest roadblocks?
I think they're just like 5 good teams, right? I think it's just Pony, Raleigh, us, Sakai, Rhino, depending on their coaching situation, depending on what they're actually going to do this year. So I see those 5 teams as being the S tier of club.
Oh,
Nice.
Not Johnny Bravo.
Dude, I love Bravo. Those are my boys. But no, definitely not. They're too young, too inexperienced. Besides Jay. Jay's pretty old, but and Cody's very old too. But yeah. Besides those guys, it would be pretty hard for me to take them.
Okay.
Cool. Well, back to AUDL. Enough club. We're an AUDL pod. But actually, yeah, I guess maybe that's something that, before we pivot back to the tiers, we do kind of have this like debate sometimes, like AUDL versus club. What's a better like entertainment, from an entertainment perspective, from playing perspective? Where do you stand on that? You play in both at the highest level. What do you prefer like as a player?
So look, like it doesn't matter what I prefer in the sense that like in 20 years, no kid is going to know what club. Like they're not going to have dreams of playing in any club team. Like when I was growing up, I'm sure when you guys were growing up, like my dream was to like play on a good club team and like make club nationals and whatever. But in 10 years, kids are going to be like, oh, I want to play on the Empire. I want to play for Carolina Flyers, just because there's way more visibility. It has actual capital behind it, and it's meant to be entertaining and it's being promoted. USA Ultimate has a different mission, right? USA Ultimate is tasked to provide playing opportunities to like everyone. It's like USA Ultimate isn't going to go away because not every team, people want to play mixed. People will want to play in their local communities, and that's what USA Ultimate is for, right? To provide local playing opportunities and regional playing opportunities to all the people that don't want to play, that can't play pro because there isn't going to be a pro team everywhere. So my thing is that the future is trending to pro. To the semi-pro leagues, both the AUDL, the PUL, the WUL, because that's just what's going to be visible, and that's what's going to get on TikTok, that's what's going to get on Instagram and Twitter, and that's what kids are going to see and want to do. And it's going to happen much sooner than people think. I think players themselves, like once there's actual capital, not just behind a league, but behind each individual team, and players are getting paid like what the New York Empire players are getting paid right now, then there's going to be a huge shift of loyalty between like, oh, I wanted to win a championship of Sockeye. Like I've always looked up to the Sockeye players to like, oh, I want to like make 30K or just like have a fun summer playing AUDL and like traveling and playing every week. And that's going to happen within like 3 to 5 years.
Wow. That's really fascinating. I think you have a really interesting insight into that. And I guess another follow-up to that is let's say like this year or this coming season AUDL, this coming season club, if you could if you were to win a championship in one of those leagues, which would be the most meaningful to you, would you say?
Oh, that's tough. I mean, that's if you had $1 billion, would you be happy? Yes, I would be happy. That's tough. Like, I don't like it's. I'll say this. So there's two sides to this question, right? There's one side that's like, what does the community like? A lot of what we do as Frisbee players is we try to get like, we assign value to the things that the community assigns value to because there is no monetary value to anything that we do, right? We spend money, and in return, we spend a lot of time and energy. And in return, we want to win things that are valued by other people, not like internally. I think that's like a huge thing that people like players, elite players like play for. They don't just play because they want to win internally, but also for that external motivation. And then there's the other part of the question where it's just like, what do you value more? Like internally, like would you value this championship over another championship? Which I think is a silly question. Like any championship would be really, it would be really cool to win. So now going kind of in reverse order. Second part of the question, like I don't care. Like both championships would be as meaningful to me because I play on both teams and they're both very meaningful. Like I've been on both teams for a very long time, and winning anything for Chicago would be sick. And then answering the first part, like the external motivation, I still think that the outside community, regardless of what I think, still values club nationals as the harder thing to win and as the more prestigious thing to win, like even more than like worlds or whatever. So like it's all about how much do you weigh what you want versus the amount of value that you derive from other people also wanting that for you, if that makes sense.
Kind of.
Sweet, yeah. So it's all, yeah. So it's like I don't know. Maybe I just had this much clarity in the last couple of years. So like, there's really just two camps of like how you derive value from playing Frisbee, and it's not like you're not getting paid. There's no like you can always hate your job and still get paid and like be satisfied with that, but like we don't get paid enough to, like for that to be like a meaningful part of how we enjoy the sport. So it really has to be like, how much do I enjoy it? How much do I enjoy winning with this specific team versus how much clout or how much would I be looked up to because I won this championship? Like how much would other people be jealous of me, kind of thing. And both of those things are both of those things kind of play into how much total enjoyment you get from winning.
Yeah, but it's definitely a tricky question. Yeah. It's nay impossible to answer almost. I'm sure you'd be super stoked either way.
That's a short answer. Yes. And this is where people turn off their podcast. It's like, this guy sucks.
I definitely think
philosophical.
I definitely think the opposite is true. I think your insight's really, really fascinating. Yeah. Anyone else have any follow-ups on that before we maybe get back into these tiers?
I was just gonna say, you were talking about visibility between AUDL and club, and 4 idiots don't really sit down and make a Twitter and make a podcast about club, but AUDL is kind of really fun to talk about. And I think you're right. I think when it comes to the future, people are gonna look more up to AUDL as like that's what I want to get to when I get to the high level, and that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy to think that like a lot of our expectations about ourselves or about like what we want for our future comes from like marketing. Like it's like really fucked up. So like I want to grow up to be this professional. I want to have this car or whatever. That's like all like the marketing that you see as you're a kid. So I mean, it's good or bad, right? So like the bad part is like you're going to be incentivized to like have this car, to have this brand, to have this phone, this computer that you don't really need, but like you were just like bombarded with this stuff as when you were a kid. But from our perspective, as a Frisbee perspective, like you're going to be bombarded by AUDL highlights, by AUDL stuff, by people like us, people like me telling you go play AUDL because that's what we're told to do to kind of promote the business side of things.
Yeah, sure, definitely. And then even going off of what Ryan says, like we're a bunch of idiots making a podcast, and if we wanted to make a podcast about club, there's just not the same resources available for us to find things to talk about. Like we can pull up the AUDL website and they track all these stats, and that kind of goes into the business aspect of it. They just have different resources and different priorities as a league. And here we are making content related to the AUDL because of that, so for better or for worse, but that definitely affects the way it kind of trends and like, as you put it, how eyes will be on the sport.
Can I just one follow up on that? It's like, but
Yeah.
there's nothing stopping club teams from actually doing that. There's nothing stopping club teams and USA Ultimate to like being like, you, in order to go to play club nationals, you have to have a website, you have to have a YouTube channel, you have to have an Instagram. Like those are things they can institute and be like, if you want to play at the highest level at club nationals and be on ESPN3 and be streamed by Ulti World, like you have to have these requirements. Like I don't think it's inappropriate for them to set that standard. And then if club teams have to be doing this stuff, they don't have to, like everything is volunteer run anyway. We have captains, we have all these leadership positions on club teams that like it takes away time from other responsibilities, right? So like if USAU told us like you need to have X, Y, and Z, and if teams actually wanted to compete at nationals or whatever the requirement is, then they would do it. So it's like it's really about like what is the incentive, and the incentive for the UDL is to make money, is to be a business. So you need marketing, but the incentive for USAU is not to kind of monitor elite club players, because they are like 1% of their constituency, right? Like elite club is such a small part of what USA Ultimate does, although it's the most visible part.
With the clout that the AUDL has, and kind of like the future that you think like just people in Frisbee are gonna want to play in the AUDL, do you think there are gonna be rule changes in USAU or even in just like any type of Frisbee anywhere to mirror the AUDL rule changes that they're making?
So that's a great question. So let me tell you a little bit insights about USAU. So I am the club men's representative for USAU. So I like sit in meetings towards the beginning of the year, like trying to like do stuff like this. Like, do we need to have rule changes? Like, what is the schedule going to look like? All these discussions with like the highest up, with like the guys that run USAU's like competitive, like the competition division, like not the business people, but the people that actually like make the schedule and like look at rule changes. And USAU is so understaffed, like they have so many other priorities than to change rules. Like they have to get more observers certified. They have to actually like coordinate all these tournaments. They have to like reach out to teams about accepting their bids. Like they have to do this for college, for club, for masters, for beach, and they have to run all of this stuff that they don't have the bandwidth to be like, oh yeah, I saw this last week or I saw this last year in AUDL. Like they have this cool rule that where you can sub people off during a timeout. I think we should do that. Like that's never going to be on their to-do list, like, because they have so many other things to do, because we are chronically underfunding USAU, because we pay $120 a year, and there's like 50,000 of us that pay this amount, and that's not enough money to pay enough to get a person that like looks at just rules, or looks at just the marketability of USAU, right? It's a nonprofit. It's not meant to actually to institute changes based on what the market expects. So just from the USAU perspective, like they are very hardworking people, and there's like a few of them that who are responsible for so many different things, that like these things that the UDL can do, they just cannot do, and they will never be able to do unless we raise our USA Ultimate member fees, which I don't think they want to do.
Yeah. A follow-up to that, and we're going to get back to the ADL at some point, but are there any rules that you would change from like, just AUDL style you implement into like college or club?
Yeah, I think you should be able to sub people during timeout. I think that's like a no-brainer. I think the whole community at this point has agreed that like this is a good rule. Like we should not have tired people after timeout play more Frisbee. Let's just get fresh legs out there and make it more exciting and more entertaining. I think the time between points is also it's so hard to watch like a club game, because people are just strolling back to the line after a point, and it's just like an ADL. It's like, no, the next point's going to start in 60 seconds. You have 30 seconds to raise your hand and then 20 seconds to pull. And that's like, it's so they can always just shorten the time between points. And both of those are not controversial. I think both of those, like, I think people broadly agree or would be good rule changes. I think a more controversial thing would be like, we should allow double teams or something. Like, I think double teams are awesome. I think that adds another wrinkle to Frisbee. Mm-hmm. So that's another thing I'd definitely institute. I would say that like for defensive parity, like you need a smaller field. Like you cannot play defense in the ADL, like one-on-one defense. Like you can't, like that's impossible. Like you need the offense to make a mistake in order for you to get a block. Whereas in the whereas in club, like you can get a D even if the offense is like almost perfect, and that's exciting. Like I think the high, like when you see a Jabron Meeser like go out over the top of someone on a break side throw, like that's awesome because he had no business getting that D, but because of the field size, like that throw isn't going any wider. Like he has a very small margin of error to not foul and to also get blocked. Like that is just awesome. Like everyone can appreciate kind of the beauty of that moment. Whereas in the ADL, it's just like a trash throw. Someone, Drew Swanson gets it blocked. It's like whatever, Drew. Like go get your blocks up. But that's just because of the thrower. The thrower made a bad throw, and not because like you made a spectacular read or you get amazing body control. So yeah, just some things I would think about.
Yeah, I have yet to meet someone who doesn't like the double team, because I think it's in so many other sports and it just makes sense. There's an easy strategy around it because someone's open. You can figure things out. It just adds a wrinkle. It's interesting. I was also wondering, what do you think about the play clock and the 4 quarters? Do you prefer a time system or?
Yeah. So I am super controversial on this in the UDL sphere. I think that we should encourage as many like end of quarter situation as possible because that's like where the highlights come from. Like I know it's like we can only have 4 end of quarters, but like if we have like a 3-point line or something that incentivizes really shitty throws to the end zone and you have like 6-7 dudes going up and getting it, like that's going to generate a highlight. That's going to generate engagement way more than just like a couple of dumb swing passes and a score in the front cone, boring offense. So like I would love for the UDL or for any league to institute more highlights, even at the expense of injury. And I know I sound like a fucking Terminator here, but like even if people have to get injured to like get more highlights, I think that's like the price we have to pay to get the sport where I think it deserves to be.
Yeah,
more buzzer beaters.
Your D-line likes to throw out those roller pulls and throw out the double teams too, which I love seeing those. How do you feel if they're thrown against you when you're on O-line?
I feel great because we practice against it all the time, right? So because like our D-line runs it against us, and like I think we have a good sense of like what we need to accomplish. So like we know not to take the shitty hammer looks, or like we know what our looks are. We have a progression, and like I'm gonna be the guy picking it up. So like I'm pretty comfortable like either drawing a foul or like swinging it backwards or something to kind of get through it. And it's a great strategy, right? Because like even if you do throw that hammer, it's always loses 30 yards, and your defense is set. And like it might not be as exciting for the fan. I mean, it might be exciting for the fan because everyone's cheering. Like you have 2 huge dudes that are 6'7", like with their arms up and like hugging you, like get this handler, get this poor sucker, let him throw a turnover. But no, yeah. So I mean, it's a. I mean, you can do the same thing in club. You just can't double, right? So I mean, you can also just roll thing. I mean, we've been talking about like instituting a roller pool in club and how that would look and if it would ever be advantageous. So yeah.
As a fan, I was at the game last night, the Summit game, and they kept doing it against the Summit, and the announcer, like the PA, was just being like, they're doing the double team on Nethercutt again. It's not gonna work because every time Nethercutt would just throw like some crazy like 30-yard hammer, and it's just like free throw because he can just put it wherever he wants.
Yeah, but if like Nethercutt has a 95 or 93% completion percentage on regular throws, and if it's like 83 on hammer throws, like you're gonna take that 10% all the time. Like you can then at that point, like why would you allow Nethercutt to have a single covered, have a single mark? Like you take the extra 10%, say thank you very much. Sure. And like you might lose a little bit on the like the D points that you're playing might be a little shorter, and it might be a little easier if he does break it, but like 10% increase in the probability of you getting a block is huge. Like blocks are so huge in the UDL. And like
I was just saying, like as a fan, it was entertaining. You were saying that it might not be. I thought it was entertaining to see Nethercutt just throw some crazy shit over the top.
I am all for having Nethercutt highlights. I think that man has accounted for like 5 of the top 10 highlight videos and 5 of the 10 most viral things that the ADL has put out. So anything that the league can do to maybe give a cash bonus to teams playing the Summit. Be like, hey man, roll against the Summit. So like Nethercutt can throw another behind the back forehand. Like we like that. Like, that's gonna get 2 million views on TikTok. Like I don't care. We'll give you $500. Like just do it. That's worth it. That's just the reality of it. That's you have to incentivize that stuff because that's like how the league is gonna survive.
That throw is nasty.
He just doesn't
Yeah.
care. He just does not care at all. He's like, I don't care. Here's gonna zing it.
Love that. Should we get back into our
Yeah,
talk
probably. Let's burn through this. So we're at C now. We just talked about
Yeah.
I think we
Yes.
talked about the Growlers last. We said they're C.
The C is good. Is there any way we can add an E, or are we limited to 6 tiers? Let's go ahead and add an E.
I would
We can
say
do it however
adding
we
more
want.
teams to F and maybe lighten up D a little bit. Like I could see the Glory and maybe Pittsburgh moving to F.
You read my
Unless you
mind.
disagree.
Absolutely. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Let's walk backwards here. The Glory. Oh my God! Talk about an unprofessional team. They bring like their worst people to away. I will never again. I mean, if like I was part of DraftKings and if I was setting the lines for
Wait, Sam. We
Boston.
might get rid of E and just move a lot of the D teams to F.
Let's see what
Let's-
happens.
Let's see what happens. But yeah.
Let's see what
Okay.
happens.
We'll see what
All
happens.
right, Pablo, you're in charge here. You control everything.
I need Glory to be F. Glory do not. Those
Amazing.
guys just do not want to compete. They don't want to play the Glory. They just want to play home games. And it's the
Yeah.
Jeff Graham goodbye retirement tour. Like I don't FFF. Those guys are bad.
They also Tanner Johnson never travels to away games, and they're a
None
totally
of them,
different team without him.
none of them guys, not just Tanner Johnson, like half of their O line, half of their D line doesn't travel to away games. I mean, losing to Toronto, like what the hell? Like you can't do that. Yeah, Oakland's definitely not F. Oakland's definitely E. Let's go ahead and put Oakland in E.
Oh, we got to move them
At
up.
Yeah, they
least
just
we
won
gotta
2
move them
games.
up. And Seattle's also not F. Seattle's also E. Those guys are a feisty bunch. And they have Adam Simon,
Okay.
who is my favorite player the whole time.
Yeah, but
Okay, now
he also
Don't-
like he's played like only 3 or 4 games this season. I feel like Seattle's
Yep.
another team where like a bunch of their guys just don't play all the time.
Well, I mean, the issue of Seattle is that they value, all those guys value club teams, and there's like 20, and I'm not being facetious, like there's 20 good club teams in Seattle, and they all come from different club teams. And the reason why like you have different rosters is because different club teams have different requirements. Like you have to be at training camp this weekend. It's like 5 guys can't make a Cascades game because they're part of that club team. And then every club team does a different weekend, and now you can't assemble an actual
Right.
squad that's there for every single game. So they have a different problem where they have like a spoils of riches. Like they have so many good club teams that are competing at nationals, and they draw from not just sockeye and like mixtape or whatever. They draw from everywhere in Seattle, and they just can't have like a Cascades kind of identity. They're just like a mishmash of everyone, and that doesn't really work.
Sure.
And they're not F because they have won some games, so they're definitely E.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and put so Philly is the only like really C team. I'm huge on Philly. Like they belong in C. So I think C
like
is
it.
definitely so C is definitely Austin. Those guys are good. It's definitely the Growlers, definitely Philly. Let's go ahead and leave the Alley Cats there for now because they played a really good game last night and they deserve to win. So now I'm just debating like what are the Radicals, what are the Aviators, and what is Montreal?
We would love if you could tell us what Montreal is because we
can't
cannot
figure
figure
it
out
out.
Montreal.
I don't know.
Neither can I because like one week they're like they could beat the Empire and the other week they can't beat Toronto. So it's like it's very hard for me to tell.
Mhm.
So the thing I do like about the Aviators is that they're A, very young and B, pretty good on offense, but they cannot play defense to save their lives. There's just no defense on that team. They're all just offensive guys trying. They have 14 guys that can play offense, and some of them drew the short straw and they have to play D-line or something. Like I don't know what happened like in the team composition there. They just there's no defense.
The answer is that they need to put Everest on D-line. Because that guy gets blocked. His best highlights, and play every point. But his best highlights this year have been like getting a block, because they turn it over and he has to play defense. And people just don't realize like where he can get, that like the types of plays that he can make. People aren't aware and they just like throw it up and he'll like just get some crazy blocks. So they got to throw that guy on D-line. I think that's maybe part of it.
That's
but
cool.
I'm looking at the teams here and I see like a B tier, a very good B tier. And I see like the teams in C tier. And then I look at D tier and I see Nitro, Ottawa, Pittsburgh.
Yeah, D tier is fucked up. No, D tier is fucked. No, this is not the D tier. Hold on. Pittsburgh. No. Pittsburgh is E. Pittsburgh, I mean, they got Thomas Edmonds back and got Thomas Edmonds is their best player next to Max Shepard, but that guy is the backbone of that team. but they're not F. So Pittsburgh was F in the beginning of the season,
Okay.
and they just moved to E because they're actually now have a semblance of an offense because Thomas is playing. So thank God, thank you, Thomas.
Okay.
I have no, like, I don't know what Ottawa is. I have no idea. They took half an Empire. I don't know if they're good or not. Like,
Yeah, that was crazy.
Like they're 1-6. They're E. They're E. They cannot be an E.
Okay.
Now, I too bad that we're not recording this like 6 hours later because I really am curious about what Portland's going to do tonight against. I think they're playing the Spiders. The Spiders. Yeah. But let's go ahead and leave them for D tier because they have Jack Hatchett, they have Leo, they have good people. They have the league. But we have to drop this. The C tier is way too crowded, guys. C tier is way too crowded. We gotta drop some guys.
Agreed.
Montreal, you're down.
Montreal's down.
Get them out. And I kind of want to put I hate to say it, but I think the Aviators are also D.
Ooh.
I know they're really. I know they play hard, but just you need to have some defense.
I think that's fair because they've lost to San Diego twice, and then I think something I wanted to ask is like Austin and C. I mean, they beat Carolina this season. Do we think we're underrating them a little bit? I mean, you played against them, but
yeah. So I don't know. So with the South Division, it's like half of the good teams play Dallas half the time, and half the teams play Tampa Bay half the time. So it's really hard to say who's good unless you actually see like Atlanta play Austin, play Carolina. And I believe Austin is going to play Atlanta at least one more time this season, and that's going to be like the whether or not they make playoffs or not. But from now on, like it's so hard because from now on Austin is just playing Dallas pretty much for the rest of the way, and they're going to Dallas is Dallas. But no, they're very good. I think Dallas. I think Austin is C, but I don't think they're B because they lost to us, and I don't think they could beat the Breeze, and they almost lost to Madison. Let's not forget that they almost lost to Madison after us, and Madison.
Does Madison stay C tier? They just put up 11 points. Are we keeping them there?
Yeah. So on paper, let me just put it on paper. Madison is E. Like Madison is a team of 22-year-olds and like 30 to 35-year-olds that have no business being in the league. Like Madison is just like the 2018 reunion team plus a couple hood eggs and one or two like 25, 26-year-olds. So that team just has no idea what they're doing on offense and has their best defenders play offense, but it works for them. That's the issue. Like the issue is that they have Bree Stevens, like they have a huge home field advantage because they draw 1,500 fans every time, and they're going to win most of their home games. They're going to lose most of their away games, but they somehow make it work with the very little that they do have on paper. So they're even as they're. I mean, if you want to put them in D and balance it out, I'm cool with it. But I don't want to disrespect Madison Radicals because they put up a good fight against teams, and you're not going to win unless you're very, very good. You're not going to win at their home stadium. So
unless you're Minnesota.
Unless you're Minnesota, but Minnesota's good, man. Minnesota's B tier. That's why they're B tier.
I think I would be okay with Radicals in D because I do think the Alley Cats I would have them more likely to take that last playoff spot. So I think it's worth like dividing them, but I don't know. What do you guys think?
I'm going to defer to Pawel on this one.
Fuck it. Let's make it even. I don't like this. This is very uneven. It's 4-5. No. 4-4. Fuck the Radicals. I like that. Yeah. Let's go. Yeah. Radicals.
All right.
Do we talk about some of those F tier teams?
Yeah, I think it's just the Rush and then these three we haven't talked about.
Not moving.
What is it to talk about?
Do we need an even lower tier? So people have complained
a Detroit tier.
People have complained about Detroit being even with all the other F teams.
No. Detroit would beat the Cannons. No. Detroit's good.
Yeah.
Detroit is. I mean,
we had
good.
That's what I think.
That's a debate about that.
No.
I thought that too. Yeah.
Unless Detroit has to travel, so again, the home field advantage is going to be huge. At a neutral site, I still take Detroit. Like if both Tampa Bay and Detroit have to go to like Nashville, I think Nashville is like pretty close to. I mean, halfway between Detroit and Tampa Bay. Let's say they both go to Nashville and compete. They're both like away teams. Like I think Detroit actually wins that because like they actually have good players. I mean, so does Tampa Bay, but like I mean. I've played against Detroit, and like when they want to play well, and they're much better this year than they were in the past, like way better. They have way better like organization, and they know what they're doing on offense, and they actually have capable defenders. Yeah, they're gonna like they've lost all their games this year, and they're probably gonna finish winless. I think Tampa Bay is also gonna finish winless. I would still take Detroit. I got to go with the central central team here.
All right, bump them up a spot.
Ahead of the Cannons. All right.
Nice.
There we go. I guess we're done. I like how it looks. It's very clean.
Yeah, it looks very organized, very Pawel Janas. You know, you got your little touch on it.
Yeah, it's finally makes sense. You've come a long way. This whole thing that you're getting here has come from something.
We'll call you next week too.
It's not like I'm not doing anything. It's like, yeah, July, fuck it. Let's reorder some teams.
Oh man, yeah. Thanks so much for setting us straight and talking to a bunch of idiots who didn't know who the KPS was. So much appreciated. I agree. I think it looks a lot more even. Yeah, I just think adding the tiers was also helpful. Some things are getting a little crowded. It spells bum again, which is huge.
Yeah,
it did before.
We got
ratioed one time because someone was like, "It spells bum." We were like, sweet.
we got all the letters in the B tier right now.
Yeah. One thing I do want to ask. One thing I'm curious about that you alluded to was that the Breeze were going to beat the Empire in the playoffs.
Yeah, I wanted to ask
Yeah,
about that too.
for sure.
Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. So hold on, I'm actually I am pulling up the Empire's schedule because this is hugely important. The impact of rust and the impact of playing club during the AUDL season is very real. So let me just give you an example. Like, so when we almost lost to Minnesota last year, it was because we had an off week. We played Detroit and we had the US Open as machine. And like those 3 weeks, just no competition in ADL. Like I think that like built a bunch of rust that we had to like shake off in the first 3.5 quarters during that game. So if I look at the Empire, who they have left, they have 3 games. So they have only 3 more games in the next, I think, 6 weeks before the first round of playoffs. 2 of them are going to be pretty boring. So Montreal and Boston, they're going to at home. So they're going to like put up 30 points on both teams, and then they're going to finish at Philadelphia, which is going to be a good game. But going along with that, a bunch of the Empire people, I mean, they play Pony, and they're going to have Club Worlds in between that, right? So they're going to play some ADL games. They're going to probably get injured at Club Worlds, and then they're going to play Philly, and then it's going to be time for a DC 1-2 matchup. And I don't think they're going to be A, healthy, or B, prepared for the competition of an AUDL game. So I have DC beating the Empire like by 1 point.
All right.
Yeah. Let's clip that, and then when they beat them, we'll just post it all over, and it'll get a ton of
I have a hotter take. My hotter take is that Atlanta is going to beat Raleigh. Is going to beat Carolina. I have DC, Carolina, us, and the Summit coming out to championship weekend. Yeah.
Wow. That's fascinating. I really, really wanted to see Atlanta beat Raleigh or Carolina last time they played, and just watching those 2 teams, I was like, man, Carolina is just too surgical. They don't turn it over, and Atlanta just had a couple mistakes, and it was like that was game because they just don't turn it over. Carolina doesn't turn it over. So I was like, man, watch out for Carolina in these playoffs, when it's all said and done. So what do you think Atlanta's going to do differently?
It's going to be the same thing. Carolina has, after next week where they play Atlanta, they have a full month of July where they play the Cannons and they play the Thunderbirds. So they play 2, low tier teams. And also, of course, Ring is going to Club Worlds. So they're going to have low competition in the UDL combined with very high intensity, very, injury prone club play that they'll have to do at Worlds. They're going to have some guys banged up, and they won't be able to compete at the ADL stage. And I think they're going to fall to the hustle, just like the Empire are going to fall to the Breeze.
Wow. Follow up on Atlanta. Did you know that Brett Hulsmeyer on Atlanta is actually 5'11"?
No, he's not. He's like 6'4", man.
I heard he was
6'6".
5'8".
I heard Yeah, we've been hearing he was
Seen him,
5'11", so
you seen him in person?
Oh, I have I ever? Yes.
5'7".
yeah, we
He is
played him
6'7".
That is
we
very,
played
very
him
tall.
every series, first at Huntsville, then at Auburn, and yeah, he's 5'11". I'm telling you.
Certainly not. Was he ever a freak? Was Brett ever on the Freaks?
Yeah, he was.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, go Freaks, man. Fuck, Freaks. God, I hate the Freaks.
Yeah.
I guess since we've already been kind of talking some playoff predictions, who you got just when it's all said and done?
So let's see. So I picked Colorado, us, DC, and Atlanta. So I think so the one is going to be Colorado. So they're going to be probably undefeated. Nice. And I think that the team with the most losses will be the Hustle. So it's going to be Colorado versus Atlanta, and it's going to be us versus DC. So I have us beating DC, and then I have Colorado beating the Hustle, and then I have us beating Colorado in the final.
All right, love that.
I wish DraftKings could like do those exact props so I could just bet that exact scenario. And yeah.
Plus 17,000. Yeah.
Yeah. Colorado was 10-1 to win it all like the last 3 weeks. And they just got changed to 5-1 when it's like Empire is plus 100 and all the other teams that you were mentioning are like, plus 250.
Yep.
So that was crazy.
Yeah. Make some money on DraftKings if you can.
I do have some money on the summit. I know you can't, but thanks for the advice.
Of course.
I know we're getting towards the end, but I had a question I wanted to ask you about your O-line and D-line playing and why you don't play any more D-line when you played like 70, 80 D-line points over your first 3 seasons, and why you don't play any.
It's because we sucked in the first 3 seasons. There's a very it's like on a bad team, you have to cross over, and you don't have good players that play both O and D. So you have people like me have to play both, and then you suck on both sides of the ball. So when you do get better, I think the smart thing to do is preserve and specialize. So you preserve your legs for one line, and you can really like gel as a line. So like I only play O because I'm not a good defender per se, and there are much better defenders than me because our team is good and it's full of really good defenders. So there's no need or desire by any party to play defense. And then there are players in their O-line who do cross over because they're versatile, better players than me. They can play both O and D. So we cross those guys over for important D points to provide a little bit more firepower on offense once we get the block. So the reason why I ever played D points in the first 3 years of my professional career is because we sucked.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Love it. Okay. Yeah. Well, we finished up our tiers. I guess we're nearing the end. Does anyone have any final questions before we stop? I don't know, taking up more of your time.
Yeah, I'm just so busy.
You're gonna break 1,000 assists in your career?
No, my projected. Hold on. In my mind, I'm gonna get 800 is my projection. 800 assists. Before someone like subs me off, like you can't play any more offense. I think 800 is the mark.
I don't know, if you move to the Aviators and you have Everest on your team, you got to bump that up a little bit.
Oh yeah, he'll give you some juice in those assist numbers. I promise.
So I'm looking
up there.
Great. Yeah, I'm ready to play. Let's just do it.
Yeah, we'll type out the contract for you. It might be in Comic Sans font, but official. I promise.
Legit.
Fantastic.
Cool.
All right. Something we did last time with Jordan is there anybody like in the AUDL that you think would be fun or have fun coming on the pod, or we're trying to preview our game of the week next week, which is the Summit Aviators game. Anyone you recommend us reaching out, or you want to call someone out to come on the pod?
Hold on. So give me 10 seconds to think. It's a bunch of losers, man. A bunch of people without personalities. But let me see if there's one personable person. I mean, so if you want a character, like my boy Drew Swanson, so he recently torn his ACL, but like that guy has some hot takes. He plays for Seattle.
Seattle,
he should have played for us, but Drew Swanson is a a character. I wouldn't know if he would want to come on your prestigious show, but Drew Swanson would be one.
I feel like we need an Empire guy because you said they don't do anything.
Those guys just suck, man. Again, with all due respect, but fuck New York. An Empire guy. Who is a fun guy on the Empire? Nobody.
Long
I bet we could have John Randolph on and he'll do like just bicep curls the whole time.
That would get, I mean, if you want engagement, like if you
Get
actually
the
want
views.
people, if you get the views and get the shares,
Oh,
no one's
yeah.
gonna share this. Like people are like, who the fuck is this guy? Nobody cares. But yeah, if you want, like, God, if you get like Jack Williams or an actual name in Frisbee, that would do wonders for your pod.
I mean, we got Pawel Janas and Jordan Kerr, so we've already got the big names.
That's pretty
We all
good.
got the biggest names. No.
I want
That's the
Jack
biggest
Williams. I want Jack Williams because I have won the Wilmington, North Carolina Summer League and he hasn't. I need to rub that in his face.
That would be good. Yeah, Jack would be good. I mean, he actually likes doing this stuff. He would actually enjoy this. Wait, just give me 5 more seconds. I know there's got to be a fucking clown out there. Like there's got to be a clown out there that I'm not thinking of who would actually like be good for like engagement.
Who would stoop this low?
Yeah. Oh, Henry Fisher. God, the biggest clown in the league. If you can get, oh my God. Oh, how can I forget? No, God, if you get Henry Fisher, oh yeah, he's actually funny. Like he's like actually really funny. Like he has a personality and like he like it knows what he's talking about. He's pretty smart. Pretty sure he's gonna be a doctor pretty soon here, like an actual doctor, not like a fake doctor like I am, but like he's gonna be an actual doctor that can actually cure people. And he actually is very funny. So if you can get Henry Fisher, that would be fantastic for your.
Let's get him on.
Debates.
Okay.
Speaking of your doctorate, we thought of a good nickname for you. We were thinking Dr. J. We don't think anyone else has ever had that name before, and we think it would be very fitting for you.
Well, since I have a soft J to my last name, it could be Dr. Yi. Dr. Yi. That's what
Dr.
Yi.
Yi.
Okay.
Dr. Yi. Dr. Ya. Dr. Yi. Dr. Soft J. Dr. Soft. Oh, that's bad. Dr. Soft.
Maybe not that, but you
We'll
get
work
the
on
idea. Yeah. We'll workshop it. Cool.
We've
did what
taken
we
an
set out
hour
to
of
do, yeah.
your time. That's plenty. Yeah, thanks so much for coming on and setting us straight and
Yes.
being
You're
honest
welcome.
with what big idiots we are. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
That's
Thank you.
my favorite part of my job. That's like what I look forward to when I wake up in the morning. I was like, who can I set straight? And who's an idiot today? That's literally the best part of my life right now. So
Great.
yeah.
Well, thanks for putting us in our place and thanks for coming on and good luck the rest of the way.
thank you.
And congrats on the championship 2022. So
Thank you. Hopefully too. Hopefully Machine and hopefully the Union, hopefully it's gonna be a dual championship, Carolina and
Mhm.
Chicago.
Yeah.
So that's
yeah, we'll get the shirts printed like already. So we'll have them out. So
I already have them.
Ready to go.
Don't worry about it. I already have them.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Good
All
luck
right.
against Wind Chill.
Thank you. We will win.
Love that. All right.
All right.
Later,
See you
Paul.
later.
Thanks for
All
coming
right.
on.
See
Of
ya.
course.
Thanks,
See
Bob.
you later. Yeah, bye.
All right.
Oh,
Well,
man.
now
How do we top
have-
Pavel? Oh my God.
Wow.
I have an activity for us to close this out. So we're gonna tier our guests here. I have Jonah and Max who are in our non-AUDL athlete draft. I have, of course, Everest, Pavel, Jordan Kerr, and then my dog Peanut, who shows up almost every episode.
Mhm.
So let's get cracking. Let's start with Jonah and Max because they came on together. What do you guys think of their performance on the pod?
I think it's tough to say where other people are gonna go, but I'm thinking A or B, somewhere between A or B.
I agree.
Okay.
I listened to the episode. I wasn't on it, but I was thoroughly entertained. I thought they were both really funny. I thought the chemistry was there, obviously. And I loved how you guys had that running joke of like putting the most ridiculous players on Jamie's team. I don't know.
Jonah coming through with Scott Seuss, the wiffle ball all-star. A great one for him.
They were great. And low key like deadpan humor out of Jonah, which I thought was really good. So I mean, Pawel came on and put some pretty good AUDL teams in the B tier. So I don't think it's a disrespect, but I do want to put them in A. I want to put them in A.
Okay.
I think they deserve it.
Let's put them in A, and then if things are too crowded up there, we can always reorder. So we have Everest. He only came on for like 5 minutes.
Put him in A. That's a C. That's a C tier interview. Yeah, but can we put Jamie in the F tier for not showing up?
He's not on the ranking. He didn't show up.
Yeah, you're right.
If I had thought of him, we could have put him F, but I didn't.
Pawel S.
Pawel is the easy S. I love how off the jump he was like, "What's up, idiots?" It's like, "Oh, good to meet you."
He was like, "Can I curse?" And Sam's like, "Yeah, you can curse it. That's all you want."
Yeah, I mean, man.
It's pretty cool. He knows who we are, even if he thinks we're idiots. That's pretty sick.
Yeah.
I felt like I had a Captain Jack Sparrow moment where he was like, and I was listening to that first episode. Terrible. Thought it was awful. I was like, when you guys didn't know who KPS was, I was like, oh my God, these guys are idiots. I'm turning this off. And I was like, but you did listen to the episode. You have heard of me. I knew when that happened, and Ryan was like, "Who is that?" And I was like, "I can't remember his name. He has like a bun or something." And in my head, I was like, "If anyone's listening to this, this is going to tarnish our legitimacy." Like one of the best players in the league. I was like, "How do we not know his name?" And
we've grown so much from that first episode of like, let's just record it tears.
I know, but I thought that was so funny. Because in the back of my mind, I was like, "Man, if anyone's listening to this, they're gonna be pissed." Lo and behold, it's Pawel Janas listening to that.
Listening.
So, oh my gosh.
All right, then we got Jordan. I think another easy S.
Yeah, 100%.
Easy.
For sure.
He was awesome. Jordan was awesome.
It's ridiculous.
This next one's a tough one.
We have so many impressive friends of the pod. Yeah, that's crazy. This shit's crazy.
I know.
What are we thinking for Peanut?
Peanut is F tier.
Yeah, Peanut
he doesn't really contribute.
He wants to be on the pod or come off the pod.
Yeah,
comes in the room, comes out of the room.
He's like one. It's like pick a side. Are you in? You out? That's. I don't want to be thrown around like that. So I'm sorry, but
yeah. I like where this is at. But if we want it to be cutthroat, that was kind of our theme last week. Do we want to move either Max or Jonah to B?
Yeah, I like it.
We'd have to pick our least favorite of the two.
Let's pick one.
Just so it's even.
Who had
the better draft? Whose team was better?
I think Max's.
I liked
was
Jonah's first half, and then Max really came in the clutch after Jonah. Jonah had a couple of bad picks that I didn't like. So I thought their two teams were kind of even.
Also Jonah had all that like loud music going on in the background. That's a little rude behavior from a podcast.
That's a little B tier.
That's some B tier stuff right there. Sorry, Jonah.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Plus he couldn't get Jamie to come on the pod. He couldn't force Jamie out. So
he has no pull. Yeah,
I love this. And then next time we have someone on the pod, when we get Jack Williams on the pod, we can reorder it again.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up. That's another episode of I'm Open. And we had Pawel Janas on, and I don't know how, but that's what our podcast is now. So thanks for watching.
Hey Sam, I got one more thing. I'm open.
I'm open.